Hey, welcome to Humans of Metagame, a meta radio podcast about, well, the humans of Metagame. We'll be interviewing the players and patrons of Metagame about who they are, how they got here, why are they here, and why do they even like Metagame? Why? You recording as well?
Yeah, I'm going.
All right, perfect. Yeah, let's just get into it. Attempt number 2.
Yeah, the first one was so good that we couldn't release it.
Yeah, we just had to record from the beginning. It was just too good. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Yeah, man,
You
Web3 keeps me up at night.
You what?
I said Web3 keeps me up at night.
Yeah, thank you for coming on at this a late hour your time. You crazy bird.
Yeah, I'm up at this hour every night. The schedule's pretty crazy.
Right. Yeah. Let's. Should we start from the history? Probably.
Sure.
How did you get here, and like what drew you in here?
Yeah, so the main thing that brought me in was I run a text-based game called Waterdeep, and one day someone, it's Ronan Wigawa, came into the mud forums and was asking for someone to test one of his games. That game was Eternal. And I played Eternal, and I gave him some initial feedback, and he gave me the NFT Bible. I dug into NFTs, and I came back and gave him some questions, and then I looked around the internet and said, well, what communities can I find? And so I saw like MetaCartel and Metagame, and kind of just jumped right into the rabbit hole. And from there, I was working a day job, and like on my way to Starbucks and stuff like that, I would basically chat about ethos of Web3 and kind of where we are today. And then we had the first web conference at Intercon, and I think that was one of the things that like really kind of solidified me in Metagame. But yeah, I came in as a game developer, kind of alpha testing a game, and then just trying to understand everything else, found the right network.
Nice. Yeah, that's you were on the outskirts until then, but yeah, Intercon was definitely when you got deep into metagame. And testing Eternal, was it like your entrance to the Web3 space, or were you there before?
So, I mean, I had CryptoKitties in 2017. I watched the coins. I read all the white papers back in the day. But, you know, it was a lot of hype, and I understood the technicals, but there wasn't an application. So I wasn't leaving my bioinformatics job for Web3 back then because there wasn't really the infrastructure for it. But I watched from the sidelines, and, you know, I saw DAO and Mount Gox and everything, and I'm a very technical person, so I read all the contracts as much as I can today. But back then it was like anything that was on Hacker News I read about.
Great. What angle did you originally discover it from?
I don't know. So I mean, I was always telling myself that I should mine back when you could do it on a Pi, like a Raspberry Pi. I wanted to, and I was like, hey, look, we could do this. And then I was like, hey, look, now you can link them together to be even better. And like, I never really got into it then, because I don't know, I was too kind of absorbed by like the family and like the 9 to 5 and games and a whole bunch of other distractions that they're fun, you know. It's part of life. It's having fun.
Yeah, it seems that like finally more people are starting to discover crypto through other spaces, like the gaming side, for like the X Infinity, for example, or like Libty, who came in like from the art space directly into the NFTs without like going through the crypto first.
Yeah, I jumped really far down pretty much all the holes, like even Axie Infinity. Like I was on an esports team and made a whole bunch of bots for like doing auctions for axes and decoded the axie genome so that Discord bots can tell you the genes of your axes or bring up your replays. So I mean, even like Eternal, like as a creator, everywhere I go, I tried to like improve and like learn and like engage. So like I make bots and things to help communities because we're pretty much a Discord first world.
Yeah, you got exactly the right mindset. Most people that are coming from the Web2 space are coming here, they expect, okay, this is the project and I am the audience, or like I am the user, and like not understanding that this space is really about being as participatory as possible and like finding ways to contribute.
Yeah, I think that was one of the best parts is like I came in here like expecting to alpha test things as a software developer to another software developer. So I expected things to be broken and to be giving feedback that would improve the experience for actual users.
Right. I lost my fucking axis. Gifo sent the 3 axes to me. I think it was him. Sent it to me like more than a year ago. And then during MetaFest I tried reinstalling the game again and finding my axes, but I have no idea where they are.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, you should be able to look at them, and I think you have a little bit of time left to move into Matic before they're locked forever.
Oh.
Or not to Matic, to Ronin. They launched their own sidechain, so you have to bridge them before they're stuck.
That's happening. The problem is I don't even know like what wallet are they on. I think that was a new wallet created just for the game, and I don't think there were one of them existing. That's the main problem.
Well, yeah, it's the Axie market and stuff is pretty crazy. So it's pretty much like a Top Shots.
Yeah. Okay, let's not worry about my axes. But yeah, like how did you decide to make that jump to like get into the space full time from having a normal job to like working in the DAOspace for multiple projects full time?
When COVID happened, I luckily was working at a job that allowed me to work from home for the first part of it. So I worked from home for like the first 15 weeks or so before I got laid off, which allowed me to lead a double life where I was working but at the same time doing as much Web3 as I can. And like even with Metagame, when I first started attending meetings, they were 30 minutes before my daily stand-up. So I would have Metagame in one ear and like working and like have to break and go to like my daily stand-up where we'd report how we were doing for work. And then I was in the sports ticketing industry, so as you can imagine, sports pretty much didn't happen, and they had to lay us off. So when they laid me off, I was kind of faced with the fact, like, do I go out and like look for a job during COVID? I don't really want to go do that. It's pretty much the last thing that I want to do. But you know, I've got a family, and I can't exactly not feed them or pay rent. So I don't know. I made enough friends and kind of network that I decided to transition full time into Web3. So basically, the people that really gave me the confidence that I could make some money were, you know, Drew from MetaFactory, Leo from Cream. They're kind of like my first early mentors that kind of showed me that I could work and, you know, there was a future. And then Metagame had a lot of promise, and, you know, we've built a lot of great things. And it's been one of the big kind of network effects that's helped me meet a lot of these different people. So I think that's one of the best parts, and one of the things that really allowed me to step in full time was kind of building the network of support in Web3 and figuring out like how I could participate. The funny thing was, like, I'm a developer, so I didn't expect to come in and do what I do. And you know, if we're watching this in 20 years and you have no idea what I do, I build bridges and connect different communities and understand the technologies and try and communicate them between people and, just engage members. So I think finding people that I could connect with are how I stuck and had the direction.
Yeah, I found it really hard to like explain like what do we do like most of the time, like, hey, what do you do? Many things. I don't know. It was like back when I was onboarding Mizant, and he was like, "Oh, but I don't know, like, what could I do? Like, I don't have any like skills. I don't know how could I contribute." And I was talking to him like, "Okay, but you can make videos." Like, yeah, I can make videos, so that's okay. Maybe that's something I could be doing. Then we were talking like, yeah, basically, man, just thinking that okay, he can make videos, so he will be making videos. And then after he like got over his initial like, oh, I can't do anything, yeah, like the videos are the like list of what he's doing. They're like 2%.
Yeah, that's like one of the best parts about metagame, right? Is like the game is real life. So by us understanding the metagame and getting better, we get better and level up our real skills.
Yeah, and we still need to put together all this stuff, but yeah, really create a place where anybody can, like, even if they have zero skills, find something that they can do, or at least something they can learn how to do and then do it. Because there's definitely a lot of space for like generalists.
We've got so much work that we need to do, and we need people that are willing to do the work and that are competent. But half of it is showing up and understanding the process rather than.
Yeah, sometimes when I explaining metagame, like how we're building this quote unquote new world, and then some people like ask me, "Oh, so will there be basic income?" And I'm like, "Yeah, at some point maybe, like, but like basic income is like needed when there's like technological unemployment or like people can't find jobs. But at metagame we have too much work to do, so like we don't need to be on basic income. There's shitload of work to do. Just start contributing and you'll easily earn money."
Right. The other way that I tried to describe metagame originally when I came into the space is like more true of like Raid Guild. So I use like Raid Guild more to describe people, is because it's easier to understand. It's like a collective of developers. And like a metagame is more of like a collective of pretty much the top creators and thinkers and basically DAO creators. It's like token engineering are all about creating tokens. We're all about creating Web3 aligned people and putting them where they need to go.
Right. Yeah. The onboarding machine.
Yeah. Making it fun.
Yeah, we really need these memes to explain metagame. I was really struggling explaining it at the beginning, and that's why I slowly started putting out these narrative pieces like the decentralized factory and the onboarding machine and things like that. Because otherwise, it's just, yeah, it's like a decentralized society. It's like a real life MMORPG. And yeah, even people who are into like MMORPGs, they're like, okay, but how do you like what? But yeah, to most people, it's just completely unknown territory.
Like the donut economics book says, is like to break the model, not only do you have to convince people that you're right, you gotta give them a different model that they can picture. So like having images and something that they can relate to is like 80% of the battle. Like even being right doesn't matter if they can't like understand it easily. They'll fall back to their old models.
Right. And I found that like one of the most ingrained old models is people coming to a place and expecting to be told what to do, what to work on. Like when I was starting metagame and wanted to make it like super decentralized, I had this idea of like, yeah, people will come in, and then they will read about what it is, and then they will come up with their ideas of what they want to do, and they will start doing it. And that's not how it worked out at all. Like, I mean, there are some people who come in and like find things to do, but yeah, like most people aren't that way at all.
Yeah, especially like finding a place where you can take ownership of something, like when you come in. So yeah, it's a completely different mindset.
But even in the DAO space, it's not completely like that. You can just come in and take ownership of things and just do it, expect to be paid, like in Metagame. Like, you need to actually pass proposals, write proposals, pass proposals, and talk to a lot more people.
That's true. Yeah, it's definitely much easier here. Even like we don't use like token voting. I like that. I was just talking about this with Mizanth earlier today about how having a higher rank doesn't mean that we get more. It means that we give more, right? Our reactions are worth more, but
Right.
it's a reflection of how much credit we've gotten before. It doesn't mean that we get any more.
Right. Basically, indeed, I think everyone will get more than us because we are the ones whose reactions matter more, and then all the other people, they react to us and we get so much less.
And that's good because that means that the people that have the most invested in it have more control over deciding who is doing valuable work, you know?
Yeah, even though there's no like token voting, we do like have higher weight on like what happens simply because of that. Like our reactions are worth more.
But even voting has been very much like flat, you know, it's more like soft conviction, simple polls. Each person has their own vote rather than, you know, any kind of class system.
Yeah, I really highly prefer that. Like, I remember like when I was first getting into DAOs, a lot of people were explaining them as like, oh, DAOs are like democratic organizations. And I was like, no, that's not true at all. Like, they're oligarchies. And like it might even not be that terrible yet because like most DAOs are only just getting started, and all the people that are in there are like also just getting started. So like the votes may be like somewhat equal, but like the wealth inequality in crypto is actually much worse than in the real world. And imagine just some Bitcoin maximalists coming in and trolling your projects with their high weight votes and shit like that, like whales steering the projects away, and basically rich people telling poor people what to do. Like, it's not what we came here for.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's one of the other like most powerful things that hit me from Metagame. I think it was like Peter back in the day. I'm not sure though, but they said about instead of trying to give $10 to a person, trying to give $1 to 10 people. And it's more important to make sure that enough people have enough than some people get rich. And if we consider like the wider metagame, like the wealth inequality, like the value that we can provide to people that are already less economically stable, it's a lot more powerful, you know. Instead of someone like me, like living in California is very expensive, you know. It takes a lot more money for me to survive than it does for someone else. They could probably survive on my budget for an entire year. In that way, you know, we shouldn't be trying to give everyone penguin level salaries or trying to give me a salary that I need. It's more important that we grow the donut for everyone so that everyone has their needs, and you know, I make sure that my needs are met outside of that circle. And I do that, and you know, that's fine. And the circle doesn't have to meet all the spikes.
Right. Yeah. I don't want it getting like, okay, like wealth inequality is bad, like we should get rid of wealth inequality. Like it's not that at all. Like if you ask me, I think it's way more important to like equalize the access to opportunities than like trying to equalize wealth. I think that's not a good idea. But yeah, just about governance. Like, do we really want to create these oligarchies?
And honestly, each
Yeah.
kind of organization is different, you know. So what we're doing here is not going to be reflective of what a business is going to be doing or what other DAOs is going to be doing. So, you know, trying to use the same kind of logic or tools to fit all these different people or groups is just a bad idea. So I'm really happy that, you know, we are following kind of our own pattern.
Yeah, that's true as well. If you have like a funding DAO, like an investment DAO, then it like, does make complete sense that it's token voted because it's people who bring their money together, like they decide what to do with money. It's different use cases and different require different methods. And I think a big problem still is just that like if you make it like one person, one vote, and without like having proper identities and cyber resistance, then people can just split their tokens and create infinite votes for themselves. So that's probably still a pretty big issue.
Something
I
as
think
crazy as like flash loan voting, right? If you leave it open to just like pure trustless network of votes, entirely possible.
I think quadratic voting that Gitcoin is developing will be pretty cool. Like it will allow like it will still stay like token based, but yeah,
It does help, but it still boils down to like, was the gating reason that you had the token voting in the first place? And if, you know, if it is pure democratic, I mean, as you say, like the civil resistance for quadratic voting is a lot easier to game. So there's definitely cons to that as well, you know. So I mean, it's just
yeah,
using the right tools and understanding them. And I think that's kind of the thing, right? Is we gotta figure out all these tools, and Metagame gets to play with all of them, and we have enough people that are connected that we deep dive into most of them just for fun.
yeah. Probably the main reason this like democratic voting works in metagame is because we've limited the number of players. Like if we made it open, then yeah, just make it work. Probably yeah, people come up with something that's neither this nor that, and that will end up used the most. We are experimenting. We're trying to make it democratic. People are others are making token voting, and definitely neither are ideal. At least not in the current form.
Yeah, but if we didn't have different spaces trying different things, you know, we wouldn't learn as fast. So I think having that shared space is one of the most important parts of it, and one of the big ethos that, you know, metagame drives to people is like cooperation over competition.
Yeah, but we do need competition also between all of these different concepts and methods, just to see how many different versions people develop and like which one end up working the best.
Competition's just natural based on our space, and in my last Mag NFT article, I wrote about like the crypto year, and I said, so my equation is that there are 4 crypto years in one cycle of the sun, and that it has to do with the fact that like a normal work day is normally 8 hours, and then in crypto we pretty much work around the clock, so 24 hours a day, just by the fact that our teams are worldwide. So by the time I'm going to bed at 3:30 in the morning, I've pretty much handed off my work. And sometimes we'll have giant work sessions where we get more work done in a day than people get done in a month, you know? I said basically every 3 months equates to 1 year. And that's kind of true, you know, like every season we have kind of our flares of activity, like DeFi summer, you know? And it's the attention, right? We all have like a limited amount of focus, and we can only like deep dive into so much at once. And so all the new stuff, we all deep dive into it, but it has like its seasons, you know? And with so many different teams working that hard, the competition is naturally there. And anyone that's not working 16 hours a day, Skeety told me, like, if you're working 8 hours a day, work 16 hours a day, and you'll see just how far behind you're falling. and like, when I was working the day job, you're like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, because when you work your job, you're like, okay, now I have to go home. I gotta take off the suit, you know, right? You know, I gotta take off the face, and I can finally unwind. And, you know, it's just, you don't have that here. Like, I'm doing exactly what I love. Everyone that's here is, like, doing this because they're creators, you know? It's hard to compete with someone that's having fun.
Yeah, really great article about like why TradFi has to lose against DeFi, and yeah, one of the big reasons was exactly that, like you can't beat people who are here doing what they want to be doing. We got a lot into just talking, but this episode was supposed to be about you. Like what draws you like to Metagame specifically? Like you've been spending even more and more time here lately, but even like originally, what is it that really made you like click here and yeah, stick around?
It was the people, and originally it was like Yaler. Yaler was really big and like, hey man, can you do this? Can you do this? And like, you know, come to this meeting if you want to engage. And that innkeeper role is really kind of critical, and engaging people that are on the fringes and not sure how to engage and how to participate. And even like now, I find myself doing the same thing, you know. I want to talk to people that come in and see what they're about, because the more I meet people, the more cool stuff I find out that we're all doing. And, you know, I'd say, some of my best friends in the world right now, you know. You know, even better than some of my meat space friends in these rooms. So I'm happy to hang out here and work, because I was going to be working anyways. Now I have someone to listen to music to and someone to laugh about. And I mean, there's so much more that you get by sharing. So it's one of the reasons that I came here in the first place, and I'm here every day.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. The past few months have the metagame Discord has been crazy. Like pretty much at any time of the day, there's somebody hanging out in one of the voice channels.
Yeah, it just goes to show you the love and like just how far the tentacle is spreading.
Yeah, it's great to see. But yeah, I find most people say that like they're here, yeah, mainly because of the great community that we build. I think it still holds true that like as I've observed like a few months ago, that like most people when they come here to learn, and like okay, they don't want to learn about the crypto space or like what the fuck is metagame. They want some work to do, but then what actually makes them stick around is the community. And yeah, you ask them a few months down the road, and at that point they are not here to learn, but they're here because of the community.
And that's one of the things we really kind of preach all over, is community first. And you don't really see that until like you're into these communities and you see exactly what you're saying. That you come for the tech, but you stay for the people.
Right. How do you do so much? What's your secret?
Definitely an amazing wife that allows me the free time to do what I do. I have a daughter that we homeschool as well. So imagine, like, not only am I doing all this, I'm also teaching. And I think, you know, having someone that helps manage the house and allows me to work, and she also does a lot of work for me. So it's like a big partnership even at home. But then kind of task management, and I've got my sticky system. Luckily I got to close all these stickies today. It was a good day. So the immediate work order, those are like the tickets that are like on the fire. Those are the plates that are spinning. And then I have a whiteboard as well, which are just like one-word tasks that encompass major things I've got to do. But those ones aren't like actively spinning. Some will, I mean, they get moved to the board, but yeah.
Do you manage all of them with the stickies and the board, or do you also use some digital tools as well?
No, I mean, I pretty much use these. The other thing, I manage other boards. So I manage the Cream community work board, and that's on Trello. Raid Guild uses ClickUp for things. There's a lot of HackMDs. We use Notion. I mean, a lot of manufacturer uses Notion. So I mean, there's a lot of different tools that I use that are kind of outside of my actual focus. I'd say I pretty much live on Discord in my physical world. I try and keep up with the other things, but they're a lot harder.
Right. I'm thinking about adding the board for sticky notes on the wall right to me.
Oh, I love it, man. It's one of my favorite things, and we managed. So Pacquiao was the digital ticketing company that I worked for, and the entire company was ran on sticky notes almost, and that's like 150 developers split up into like teams of 5, and we all had like different swim lanes. So it's like eight different rows, which the rows are just different teams, and then each team just had their tickets as sticky notes. It was really effective.
The main reason I would want to do it, I'm usually like all for digital tools, but in this case it will allow me to like, they would just be visible the whole time next to me rather than another application that I need to open to remind myself that I like conveniently ignore to open at times.
Yeah, and like the best part about like doing a stand-up with sticky notes is no one's going, oh, let me copy this, or let me get this real quick. It's like, no. Your ticket's already on the board. If not, put your ticket on the board, you know?
Right.
So you're forced to like actually talk about the work that was done rather than kind of like, or like why it's moving forward or not moving forward.
What excites you about the next like 6 months to a year? Not just the metagame, but like crypto or your life in general?
So, I mean, I'm taking on a lot of responsibility in a lot of different places. And just the next 6 months, I want to keep working as hard as I can and make sure that the communities I'm in have the tools that they need, and you know, that we kind of shake out some of the problems so that some of the formation issues are behind us and kind of gears are running smoothly. I think a lot of the projects have done the proof of concept, and you know, we've built a lot of the infrastructures and foundations, and this next 6 months is going to be refining them and, you know, cleaning up and doing documentation and making them more user-friendly, aside from people like us.
Right. And do you have anything about metagame specifically that you're looking forward to?
Metagame specifically, we've got a lot of things that we're talking about doing. I'd really like to get the artist badge stuff. I think that would be really big for us.
The RS badge?
Yeah. We're working on like dynamic badges kind of thing. It's an idea, obviously. Alpha leak on the radio.
Is that related to the skill trees?
So I'm running a skill tree workshop right now on Taco DAO, where we have a fictitious party that we were planning, you know, with taco baristas and things like that. So we had some fun with it. You know, Deep Work is helping us with the Skill Forest, and you know, I'm a part of the Skill Forest DAO, and working on it with MZ and Jessica. And but yeah, deep work is kind of setting up some tools, and we're evaluating. And then I'm going to try and take that to Metagame or Raid Guild and DAO House, all the places that, you know, we've been talking about skills with, and apply what we've learned from the Skill Forest workshop to all these places. But no, the artist card is a little bit different.
I thought the Raid Guild was building the skill trees application.
Yeah, I mean, we're all kind of cooperating, so I think deep work is probably the furthest ahead, and where we'll probably draw a lot of the solutions from. So we're pretty much in phase 2 of it. So phase 1 was the design phase. Phase 2 is the off-chain version of it with Discord roles and things like that. And phase 3 is the on-chain version of it. And I met with Andre and kind of hashed on some ideas and suggested a modification of coordinate for skill trees. So if like every month, instead of just coordinate being able to target a select give to a person, you give to a select skill. That way, you know, just like in LinkedIn, right, where we can recommend each other's skills. In this way, we could every month recommend each other's skills that we perform in a role. And the way it would work for the different masteries is once you've completed all the skills of like that role, then you're able to complete them and, you know, submit that as the mastery. But you've got to complete all the skills. It doesn't matter if you do them backwards and forwards or random order. You've got to complete all the skills of the mastery before you can turn them in for the master skill. Your career doesn't have to be doing all of them. You could do one of them every single day and that's your main focus, but to reach a mastery, you had to have played all those roles at some point in your career.
Right. Yeah, and most importantly, it doesn't need to be linear, which I think is the biggest difference, than in like video games, where it's like, okay, do this, then you do this, then you do this, and the real life skill trees are not so simple. But yeah, we should definitely shoot some seeds over there. Probably not this month because we already. I don't know if you've seen the calculation, the new sheet for the seeds, but yeah, we are paying back some more debts like to Gitcoin, to MetaCartel, to Achievement, and also to the carbon footprint offsetting that we were supposed to do back at MetaFest. So there's that backlog coming up. But yeah, Hamad just sent it to me. Probably next month we should add an initiative for the skills.
Make sure the players that have requested address changes are considered.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, then we should probably add it to the initiatives next month to give some support for the InterDAO project. You're starting to say like things that you're looking forward to, and you said those badges, and then you were about to say something else. Do you want to expand on the badges first, or do you want to continue saying the things?
I think that's fine for badges. I think the other huge thing that I'm excited for is DAO's ability to interact with NFTs. It's going to be coming up, and I'm working on that with DAO House. So Deacon and Isaac and a small crew of us are hoping to bring Moloch contracts to Rarible. So Rarible completely open sourced their platform as the protocol with the SDK. And so we have one of the first implementations of, I forget which one Isaac said it was, if it's a 1295, but it's a DAO that can sign transactions. Yeah, so the transaction verification is the execution of a DAO proposal. So I think that's what 1295 is. I might be wrong on the number, but it starts with a 12.
That's nice. And actually, one of the people that came in through the Radial cohort is working on NFT DAOs, and also like collaborating with DAO House. So that might be something to look into, and we pull into that as well. Do you already know what I'm talking about?
It might be the person that I'm on the team with. Do you know who it was?
Yeah, yeah, likely. IZKP.
That's the main developer that I'm working with.
Yeah, Minty app.
Yeah, that's him. He's the person that executed, and he's amazing. And yeah, we already have executed it, so we're able to join a DAO with an NFT as tribute. We're able to buy NFTs based on the DAO proposal or sell NFTs. We're working on trading NFTs. So pretty much everything that you could do on Rarible, we're bringing to the DAO. Pretty much any DAO that's on DAO House. So that's one of the huge things, is all these tools are connecting. We did money Legos last year, and this year's going to be community Legos.
Yeah. Yeah, we should definitely integrate DAO House into Metagame. Like, that was one of the first ideas that we had, like when, basically DAO House and Metagame, as they like both got started at ETH Berlin. That's one of the things that Ven and I were talking about, how like Metagame will need to have like, okay, go create a DAO and just opens DAO House. And we still haven't done that.
Ven is the other person that's on that team. I was trying to think of the last person. I didn't want to mess up the name, and yeah, Ven is the other person on that team.
Makes sense. But yeah, we should definitely bring DAO House into Metagame, or at least make it so that like you click create a DAO and then it takes you to DAO House. It doesn't have to be directly from our interface. It's time to bring all of these projects together as the plan was. When I was starting Metagame, I was thinking like, okay, so there are like all of these pieces to building like a decentralized society. All of these pieces already exist. We just need to put them together. But then like as we started working, I was like, okay, there's so much missing shit like that. It's not even close to all being here.
I mean, and the best part is like after us working on it for a year and a half, those pieces do exist.
Yeah. A lot of them definitely emerged, and yeah, now we can start as soon as we have the meta menu and the next version of the website. We can start integrating some of these pieces.
It's one of the biggest things that I've gotten out of all the communities is just how ready people are to jump in and help out and build. And like when you get a whole bunch of people willing to do that, all of the communities come out with amazing stuff. But if you compare that to like the companies, it's like there's not even a community, right? They just like drop down this like major website, you know, it's with no soul to it.
Yeah, and the communities have become a buzzword. Like the companies are like, yeah, our community, but like, no, you don't have a community. You have users, you have customers. You don't have a community. Yeah, even like I received like a flyer on my windshield a few months back from INA, which is like a gasoline, like an oil extracting and gasoline producing conglomerate. And the flyer said, join our community. What the fuck are you talking about? Like the community of people who have cars, so they need gas? Is that the community? The people who would rather not pollute the earth but have no other choice? God damn. Luckily in Web3, it's not just a buzzword. Like these projects still actually are communities and community governed, at least until too many whales come in and scoop up all the tokens that are used for voting.
Even then, like we've seen, like tokens are not a community. We've seen like DAO is not a community. You know, the people are the community, and it's really easy for even like the rollback. Obviously, that was tragic for a lot of people, right? But a lot of groups moved their liquidity to a new token, or you know, they did something. There's always a resolution that tokens and doesn't break up a bond of people.
Yeah, probably the best example still is the Steam it and Justin Sun. That's my favorite story in the tokenized space. Like how he tried to, basically tried to go against the community, and even got a bunch of exchanges to vote in his favor, and then the Steemit community was like, no, fuck all of y'all, and they just created a new token and excluded Justin Sun and all of these exchanges that colluded with him, and gave out the tokens to all the rest of the community, and just started a new. Well, it's not a new community; it's the same community. They just forked and rebranded, and it was like, okay, yeah, the token is not the community, and fuck all of you.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the dangers of having like decentralized, single-serving versions of blockchain that really waters it down. I think that's the big danger, is that people just kind of think that they can treat it like how they normally did. And I think that's how like businesses and countries want us to do. But the real freedom comes from like understanding it and taking ownership over it. Because as you said, like in that example, the community owned what they felt the platform should do, you know? And that's the power that we have. Like if someone was truly against something, they can rage quit their portion of it and start a new one. No one's locked into a contract in any of this. And I think that's the other huge part that people don't realize and like is the most controlling about their daily life is you're signed into a contract. Anything you do during work hours or after work hours belongs to whoever your job is. Especially as a software developer, that's a big handcuff. And being able to work for, I think my DAO says I'm in 14 DAOs, but that's only on one platform. It's like all those different groups are different networks of people that I'm working with and value that I'm creating in all the different networks. So to have told me that I had to have only created value for one network just hurts all of those people that I engaged with. It hurts me and basically puts someone else in control of the value I create.
Right. And similarly, like you live in this country, and they can change the rules on you, they can do whatever, and like you're still here, and like if they wanted to force you to do something, they could force you. While in the DAOspace, you can just say, fuck this shit and leave. Like even if it's a complete dictatorship and like the people start whales going out against you and like whatever, you can just leave. Like fork the project, create a new one, and fuck it. The ultimate freedom.
I think that's the other really big thing that I've noticed is that it doesn't matter how big you are in the crypto scene, you're still just a person, and most of the time you're seen as that. Like Vinay's a perfect example. He was very friendly to me, and he's a very open and supportive person of the scene. And our entire ecosystem. But at the same time, he's a person. So everyone that I mentioned, and like even if I go back to like my big lunches that I've had, everyone that's there is probably going to be a big name in crypto for the next 5 or 10 years, until we find something better to do. Not that that's happening, but in 10 years is a long time. Maybe we'll be in crypto VR then. Every one of them is as directly connected as you and I are, They're a DM away, they're a person. It's not like, hey, talk to my agent.
Yeah, everyone is still super approachable and friendly. Right, yeah, we're coming up to almost an hour in my recorder. So, yeah, do you have any final thoughts? I feel like, the last 10 minutes were kind of good closing, but yeah, I do want some final thoughts.
I think, the main thing that I want to say is just to always give it your all. I also want to really credit sleep and like being able to understand your own limitations. I think, the limits that we place on ourselves and our body and our mind are really hard sometimes. So it's important to take a lot of care and make sure that, if you're being stressed out by something, that you try and relieve that stress. And sometimes that is communication with your stress. Sometimes it's like understanding what's causing you stress. And, all that stuff is normal, especially in like a very volatile world that we're in. So it's important to be in it for the right reasons. And I think ethos and learning and doing things is the right reason. And obviously financial gain is nice, but anytime you're focused on expectations of value and numbers and expecting the numbers to go up in a volatile market can lead to really bad expectations. So having the right reasons that you do everything and show up to work every day is everything, and helps make sure that you balance yourself. And if you do have a hard time, know that's okay too. Everyone has hard days, and making sure that you have connected with friends that you can talk to about your hard days is just as important as work. And that's why like engaging with people and building your connections and having fun while you work is just as important as, creating the next project. Because it lets you sustain and lets you be a person first rather than a machine.
Right. Well said. Well said. Especially I think the part about caring about yourself is the most neglected currently in the space, since everybody is so stretched between multiple projects and just space moving so fast. Everybody trying to keep up, and just it's long hours and a lot of stress. So yeah, it's definitely important to take a step back and take care of yourself. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. This was awesome. Great talking to you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for talking to me too. I'm sure I'll talk to you again later today.
Yeah. See you around, man.